Today, we're going to be diving into one of the foundational stage strategies that I utilize in my community wellbeing blueprint. And we're really going to talk about mapping your community's mental health strengths and weaknesses that exist in your local area. And we're going to use a tier 3 strategy that I've developed. And I'm going to give you a how to do that with very specific steps you can do so you can start using that straight away. And that'll enable you to have a really strong foundation to come back to and use regularly as part of your overall process. It's certainly something you can be using all the way along, but it's also a great thing to use when you first get started. So I like to always start by talking about why this strategy is important, why we would bother doing it. So in the foundational stage of my process, I actually talk about that it's really important. One of the key things that we need to be doing is collecting some early data. And that really helps us to get access to big funding in the future. It helps us have really clear decision making that goes beyond just our assumptions we're coming into. But I'm very aware that when I say that, it can scare people a little bit. And probably scare is not quite the right word, but I know that I used to feel a little bit overwhelmed by the idea of data and that, oh, goodness me, I kind of tend to avoid it because it seems so heavy and bogged down. But what I've done as a result of feeling that way, because what I've come to realize is that data is hugely impactful, hugely important, and something we really need to make the most of and utilize in our process. So I've developed I've developed many data processes, but one of the strategies that I use is this tier 3 approach. And it's a really practical way to collect some data and see what's happening across your local area, while also being very engaging for you in the process, but also for those who are providing the information. It's a fantastic early piece of data that you can collect when you're first setting things up, and you can really refresh and utilize regularly as part of your community driven wellbeing approach. Now, certainly, if you're at the stage of already being in the action planning and already writing community wellbeing plans, this is a fantastic strategy that you can use for accountability for your team, as that you can use for celebration about the things that you're actually achieving and how it's growing over time. And it really is a chance to engage with your community and collect new data along the way. Now, it's so powerful because one, it allows you to base your decision on what's actually happening, not just what you assume to be happening. Now, I'm not saying that your assumptions aren't correct, but it's really important to build upon that and to get a really good insight as to what's actually happening from the mouth of the people that it's are actually being impacted by that work. It really clearly shows you where the gaps are in local mental health support and wellbeing initiatives. But very importantly, it gives you a chance to also celebrate what's also happening and start from a place of building on the positive, which I really, if you've ever heard me talk, that's something that I really value, that idea of starting from the positive. It also helps you set meaningful goals and priorities right from the get-go. Absolutely helps your future funding applications, helps them be strong and much, much more likely to be successful. And it gives you a fantastic visual to actually share with your community so that they can feel part of the journey and come along on the process with you right from the start. Now, just a note, when you share it, if you choose to take it beyond just your own thoughts and beyond just your own team and take it out to share with people, frame it as your initial thoughts and then invite others to add anything that might be missing, and being really purposeful to remind them that this is about what is the current reality is, not what we would like to be happening. That's a key point of difference. So we'll come to what we'd like to be happening, but we want to first of all get a clear picture of the reality right now. All right, so what is this tier 3 diagram? What am I talking about? So what it is, it's a very simple way to map what's currently in place at 3 levels of mental health and wellbeing activity across your community. Firstly, the awareness level. So the general sense of awareness around mental health and well-being and issues that can be associated with it. So that might be things like general community awareness campaigns. It might be information that's shared at a community level, activities that happen at a community level, but it's very much things that everyone has access to and that is targeted towards everybody in the community. At the next level, we're looking at the prevention strategies that are being used and the targeted strategies that may be used with certain demographics or groups of people that really help reduce the risk of mental health issues developing. So it might be specific training that's being offered, specific support to certain demographics. It might be specific strategies that are being used to bring people together to talk about something, specific programs that have been introduced in the community that are being implemented, and really localized strategies. But this is really about that group level. So it's not the whole community, it's about groups, people that choose to opt in, people that, things that are offered that people choose to go into, and things like that. And then we're looking at the intervention and support level and the crisis level. So really, these are supports that kick in when someone starts to experience difficulties at an individual level. So this might be specific support services that are available in the local community. And really importantly, when you're thinking about this, think about what's actually happening and what's actually accessible and what's actually um, available in your local area, because that's a key point of difference to just what, rather than listing every support service in the local, in the region as such. Now, by mapping this out, you can really see clearly where your town is strong and where it might be lacking. And it's important to consider some of these things because it might be that there are great services, but people don't know about them, or the outcomes are not being achieved like it would have been hoped, or perhaps people aren't accessing them for some reason or another. All right, so how do we actually make this diagram? Really simple. As you may have heard, one of my strong beliefs is that we need to keep things simple. We don't have to overcomplicate things. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Let's keep it really simple. So all you need to do is just grab a piece of paper and draw a triangle. Literally draw a triangle, a nice big triangle in the middle of your piece of paper. And you're going to divide it into three sections. At the bottom, which will be the biggest part of your triangle, will be the awareness section. Then in the middle part will be your prevention and targeted strategy section. And in the top part of your triangle, what's left, will be your intervention and support and crisis support. Now, once you've done that, so you might want to label those to remind yourself what each section is. That's where you're just literally going to brainstorm. All you're going to do is pop down ideas. Now, you can do it on your own if you're just starting out and you're trying to develop this initiative. But a really great thing to do is if you're looking to start getting your team together, this is another great activity that you can do in your first one or two gatherings, coffees, or meetings, depending on what stage you're at. It can also be something that you do with your actual team if you've got a team already, whether you're starting out or whether you're further along the way. What is really important is as you're brainstorming, keep in mind that you want to go into this without judgment. So it doesn't matter if there's not much in one section. If we truly want to improve things, we have to go into this activity with a curiosity about what it is that's actually happening. So be really mindful of only writing down things that are actually happening as opposed to what we want to happen. And you might write something down and think, I don't know how effectively that's happening. Highlight it. And that can be something that you can follow up with and ask your community about. There's also other lots of ways to do this more effectively. You can literally just do it at a local level with your team or with the team you're going to develop. But you can also take this out further to really get the voices of your community involved in this, and get the voices of the people that you're looking to support in this process. Now, if you want to do that, that's an additional option. So you can just do it at that level I've just spoken about at the moment, and I'll tell you what to do after that in a moment. But if you want to take it further, what you can do is you can take this community, sorry, take this activity out into the wider community and engage those people. So we don't want to get too deeply involved in the effectiveness of these strategies at the moment. You can jot it down on the side, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But what we want to keep in mind when we're doing these things is that it can be very excluding for a community or a demographic of people that we're looking to support to have decisions made for them on their behalf. Therefore, it's really good strategy to always remember to take this back out to the community or to that group of people. And you can do that through your social media, you can do that through meetings, lots of different ways to get people's input on what they see is currently happening. And you might be surprised because you might find that things you thought of aren't mentioned. And maybe that's because it shows that there's a gap where things aren't necessarily being accessed or being known about that you thought were really obvious. Now, you can do this through surveys, you can do social media polls, you can do QR codes on a local notice board on a piece of paper. You can do it at a little question at a local gathering as people leave, sort of like an exit question. You can do it in many different ways, but it's a great strategy to really bring your community along on the process. Now, regardless of which way you've gone, whether you've taken it out or whether you've just done it with your action team, the next thing you want to do is just literally collate it into a document. Doesn't need to be fancy, could just be sticky notes that you've put. You might have done this activity and you've got sticky notes and you've put it in each of the three spots on the triangle and you've literally taken a photo of it. Can be that fancy. Yes, you can put it into like a document or a Canva document. Whatever it is, just save it in some form and save it into a folder because you will come back to this many times. You'll come back to it for goal setting, for funding applications, for social media sharing around your journey that you've gone on from start, when you first started this up, from creating awareness for the work that you're doing out in the wider community. And dare I say it, perhaps in the future for award applications. I know you're probably thinking, I know that how's that going to happen? But honestly, it's, as someone, I judge awards in Western Australia and across Australia around mental health, and it's very much a possibility. So just keep that in mind. Now, obviously, it's not the forward goal, but it's something that can happen in the future. Now, if you haven't already engaged the community in the process, at this point, this is a great opportunity to take that document, rough, fancy, however it is, and just share it. Post it in the local newsletter, post it in your Facebook group, post it on your Facebook page or Instagram page or whatever you might have, or at an event that you hold, or whatever it is, but it will create visibility for your team and it will help your community see the conversations that you're having. And that can be really, really impactful and help you grow your initiative. All right, so quick action for this week. All you need to do is just get out a piece of paper and draw a triangle. So whether you're just flying solo right now and trying to get your ideas figured out, or you're looking to set up a team, or you're already part of a team, just set aside 10 minutes, draw a triangle, and jot down what's happening in each tier of that local area. You will be really surprised how much clarity that you gain from even just a rough draft, and it can be a fantastic way to really get started or to get everyone's ideas on the table and really start prioritizing where to go to from there. Now, if you're really enjoying that strategy and you want to know more about the full framework for building a locally led wellbeing strategy, including how to really move from this early snapshot and learning all of the strategies that you can utilize in the foundational stage through right to being fully funded and having a sustainable community wellbeing plan, then please join my waitlist for the Community Wellbeing Changemaker membership, and you'll then be the first one to know when the doors open again. I haven't decided exactly when yet, but if you're not on the list, you won't get to find out. So, look, thanks for being here as always. I just want to remind you, let's stop watching those mental health statistics and let's absolutely start changing them. And until next week, I'll see you soon.